Okay, you're most welcome to this session. We started it last week with an orientation. Actually early this week on Monday, where we started with an orientation, and most of you are not available due to other factors, work and other things. And then after that, we had another assignment, which focused on us looking at, installing the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment, which we're going to be using during this bootcamp. And then today happens to be our first class, which is online as well, whereby we're interacting on the foundations, or we are starting with the introduction of it. So basically today we are going to look at introduction to web development. And of course, during this bootcamp, what we are looking at exactly is front-end web development. So I hope we shall enjoy. So this is some of the outlines of the things, activities, or the stuff we are going to look at today. So we are going to look at what we are supposed to do in week 1, which we are starting with today. And then we shall look at what web development is. Of course, I know some of us might be having background in programming, or you have some idea about what we're talking about. But of course, we have designed this bootcamp in a way that it can support an absolute beginner, somebody who has little or no understanding of, web and everything. So we are going to look at web technologies. And of course, among the web technologies, we have what we call the front end and the back end. We are going to also look onto it during this class. Then we shall also look at why we need websites, or what are some of the, the uses of websites in our daily lives. And then we shall also have an activity today. Like last week, on Wednesday, I gave an activity of us installing the integrated development environment. Of course, like earlier on, while I gave you during your admissions, we clearly explained the mode of learning, now whereby we are using the 70-20-10 principle, where you take ownership of your learning. Of course, we are in a tech era, and technology is all about application and being much practical than talking. Okay. So here we are going to look this week. We are going to look at basics of web development, which happens to be a class for today. And then still throughout the week, we're going to look at understanding of the basic, web languages. For instance, in this case, we're going to look at HTML, its syntax, the structures of HTML, the essential tags of HTML, and accessibility of a website. I know some of us might be wondering what these are, especially if you're very new, but feel at home and feel free for the fact that you'll be able to understand, or we shall be able to define all these terms during this class. Then as well, we are also going to create a simple web page, not a very complicated one like what you always see, but a very simple one. So at the end of this week, rest assured, at least you'll be able to develop a web page. Whether you have an understanding or not, trust me, you're going to be in position to do that. Okay. Now, when we talk about web development, maybe I'll start by asking a question. When you talk of web development, what comes to your mind? Anybody with an idea? Mr. Jock Daniel, I can see your microphone is open. Could you give us any idea what you think website is? Anybody with an idea about what a website is? Others, you can use the chat as well. Yes, Mr. Jock has switched off. Any other person who has any submission to defining what a website is, or any idea about a website, you're welcome. You can type in the chat, or you can unmute and talk. Okay, maybe we can keep on going as well. Maybe we shall follow other things in the chat later. So when we're talking about a website, we all know we keep on talking a website. So when we talk about website, we simply refer to, web pages, which are stored or are run by an organization on a site. For example, we have the site for iFed Technologies. The site we're having right now is a quoting site. However, the official e-learning site, we are launching it in the next 2 weeks because we're working on some other things. We had launched it earlier on. However, we are developing course content. Some of these courses you will not be having, have to access them via other platforms, but specifically on our actual website. Then you also have other educational websites, other e-commerce websites, and very many others. Now, when we're talking about web development, we are simply talking about that process of developing what we're referring to as a website. Okay. Okay, so when we are talking about web development, we refer to the process of building a website or web applications. So the one we can be able to access through the internet. Like now you are able to access Zoom. Zoom is a web application. You're able to access it using an internet. Without internet, you cannot access it. So these websites are built using some languages. Of course, in our plain English, like I'm speaking to you in English. Of course, the computer does not understand this. For you, you can hear me talk English and get what I'm saying, but the computer can't understand this. Therefore, computer understands what we call programming languages. We have languages like English, Kiswahili, and the rest. But for the computer, it has a different set of languages. And those languages are called programming languages. We use them to communicate to computers. We can use them to create the structures of a website, to style a website, and offer functionality services to the website. And then when we're looking at web development, which is actually the course we are looking at in this bootcamp, the result of a web development is simply what? Creation of a website. And this website, you can be able to access them via a browser. Now, when we're talking about a browser, we are talking about browsers, for example, like you have Google Chrome. I know most of us use Android phones, maybe iPhones as well. You can also use Mac computers and Windows, but one of the most popular, like with Microsoft, it's Firefox and basically Edge, which are default. And then one of the most popular one these days is Google. And of course, I love using Chrome. Yes, I use Firefox and Microsoft Edge as well, but I prefer using Google over the rest. So all of us, we have different preferences for different reasons, but at least we know most of us Google. So we use these browsers in order to be able to access these web pages. Then we are also going to look at, okay, basically here we are looking at the basics of web and the different technologies in web and the importance of having one. So when we talk of web technologies, you might be wondering what web technologies are. So when we refer to web technologies, we are simply referring to software tools, programming languages, some frameworks and protocols which are used to create, develop, and operate websites and web applications. So when we're talking about web technologies, we should not, look at it like something which is abstract. So basically, we're talking about the software tools required in building a website, the programming languages, like I said earlier on, the frameworks which you're supposed to use to build them, the protocols which you're supposed to use to create and develop, and so that we can make a website in position to function. So when we talk about web technologies, we basically have two web technologies. That is the front end and back end technologies as far as website development is concerned. So when we're talking about front end, here our focus is on the user interface, design, and experience. For example, what you're able to see, I don't know whether some of us are joining via mobile phones, some of us are on computers. Basically, what you're seeing, that's what we call the front end of a website. What you're able to see, the interface, what you're interfacing with your screen on the monitor, on the on the phone, how it is designed, the user experience, the interactivity, how you're navigating through, what you're able to see, touch on the screen. That is basically the front end part of it. And then we also have what we call back end technologies. Now, when you're talking about back end, this one deals with the server side. When you talk about server side, it's the side you don't see, it's behind. There is front and there is the back end, which is behind. You as a user, like for now, you are almost a user because you're just seeing something on your screen. You are a user, you're a client. So for you, you're not in position to see what is happening in the back end. But of course, there's a lot of work in the back end as well. But at this time, like in this bootcamp, we are basically focusing on front end. Then after summarizing with this bootcamp, we shall organize a bootcamp which will focus on the back end, because the back end is a little bit into depth. So for you to go into back end, you must have understanding of the front end very well, so that you can be able to go to back end technologies. So in order for you to be able to develop a successful website, you need to understand the basic technologies involved in it. So I was talking about web technologies. So these are some of the web technologies we have. Like in the front end, we have what we call the HTML, which is actually what we are covering this week most. when we talk of HTML, we simply mean the hypertext markup language. So it's just a language which basically structures the content of a web page. It structures how a website is supposed to look. Of course, in the next class, we shall be able to see this. What do we mean by structuring a website? How does HTML look? Of course, today we are not having an interface of the IDE, but the next class, we shall be able to at least write something, even if printing our name on a website, we shall be able to do that. So we shall see how, we shall be seeing how we can be in position to, somebody's joining. Please, people who are joining, make sure you put your microphone off, but when it is connected. Okay. So HTML basically structures how a website is supposed to, look, where the heading is supposed to be, the body, the title, and the rest. We shall go into that later in the next class. And then we also have what we call the CSS, which is the cascading style sheets. So this one, for example, if we talk about HTML is like a skeleton. Some like some of us during primary and secondary who are looking at a skeleton. So HTML is basically like a skeleton, bones of a human being. And then CSS is like your flesh, your body, which covers the bones. Of course, if somebody will see a skeleton, can even run, But now, if they see flesh on your body, of course, now they can identify, maybe you're brown, maybe you're dark, maybe you're fat, maybe you're thin, So that is basically CSS. It styles, it makes a website gain some, style, like how the website is supposed to, the pages are supposed to be laid out and what so forth. And of course, it has some frameworks. Some of the frameworks, maybe Godfrey, you could switch your video off so that the bandwidth is better. Otherwise, thank you. So we have some CSS frameworks, like we have Bootstrap, we have Foundation, we have Bulma, we have Materialize, and also we have some libraries like, of course, CSS Grid, CSS Flexbox, Normalize.css, and Animate.css. So some of these things might be looking abstract right now, but of course, as we go on in the second or third week, we shall be much more familiar with this. So basically, as we are looking at what I'm referring to as front end, these are the things we are going to look at in this bootcamp. So we are looking at HTML, we are looking at CSS, and we are going to look at JavaScript. Now, when we're talking about JavaScript, this is used for adding interactivity and functionality to your web pages. For example, now you have designed your page, it's looking nice. Okay, how does it pick data? So that's where JavaScript comes in. Like you can be seeing forms and what so forth. Now you have developed your form, you have styled it very well. How should it store data? And then it also has some frameworks like React, Angular, and Vue. It as well has libraries like jQuery and Lodash. However, during this bootcamp, we are going to basically focus on JavaScript and only one framework, which is called React. That is the one which we're having our focus on during this bootcamp. Of course, we are looking at fundamentals of web development as of now. We also have back-end technologies. Yes, much as we're having front end. During this bootcamp, we're looking at front end. But one thing you should know is a website does not wholly depend on what is in the front end. Because now, supposing you're filling a form on a website, where does that data go? Of course, the data goes in the back end. Now, in the back end, we have we use programming languages like Python. Some of us might be having some prior knowledge about this. However, in the back end, we use Python, and then with some frameworks like Flask, Django, Pyramid, Tornado, and the likes. Then we also have PHP. This is another programming language. It helps in, developing lightweight web applications. So it has some frameworks like Laravel. We have CodeNita, we have Symfony, we have E. Then we also have Ruby. Another programming language is called Ruby. And then we also have Java. It's a programming language which is good for building large-scale softwares, which are like, they are complex. Java is the best programming language for that. As Python is as well good because it is versatile. Python has a lot of, fields where you can apply it in data science, in artificial intelligence, in actually almost everything. So Python is one of the best I always, advise people to go for because it gives you a lot of opening. You can go into machine learning, You can go deep into system engineering. You can go into data science, a lot of stuff. Like, of course, we also have Node.js. That is not JavaScript. Let me add this, okay. Then, as we have those programming languages, we also have databases. You know, of course, I was talking about picking data from. For example, if you're filling form, making an order, maybe on an e-commerce site and what so forth. Those data, they are stored on the server side. Of course, we have one of the best languages, which is also so most popular, is what we call MySQL. That is a database language. So MySQL is one of the most popularly used one. Of course, we have PostgreSQL as well, and we have also Mongo database. Mongo database, but I basically prefer using MySQL. But of course, choice of the type of database to use depends on the type of the application, the sophistication, or the software you're trying to build. Okay. Now let's look at some of, maybe before we come in here, could we ship in? Maybe I'll ask a simple question like, why do we think like we should have a website? We can use the chat room, or the microphone can be open as well. If you feel like using the microphone, well and good. If you feel like typing in the chat room, well and good. Why do we think we need a website? Somebody to just give us an idea. Okay, Ojok, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. I'm really so glad to be part of this.
Yeah, sure.
Basically, according to me, one of the uses of website is can be used for, can use a website to there at the university, or some of the job slots they do have at the university. Thank you.
Okay, fine, very good. Any other person with another submission? We can use the chat as well, or you can go ahead and unmute and talk. Oh, somebody is talking on the chat. Mr. Lord Isaac is saying share, okay, that we will learn both back end and front end. Okay, yeah, we can learn both. However, you know, we need to first understand front end in order to go to back end. We cannot learn both. So the best way to learn, Mr. Isaac, would be we start with the front end. After front end, if we feel okay, fine, we have mastered. Of course, after front end, we need to have some time, 2-3 months to practice the front end we have learned into depth. Now, when we gain a lot of experience, that's now where we shall start back end. But of course, if we go all together at once, they'll be a little bit confusing. And of course, when it comes to back end, depending on the choice of programming language, like for me, I prefer Python. It's very simple. One of the things. PHP is also very good, actually, for web applications. Yes, Mr. Shunya, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you for presentation. I'm glad to be here, though very new still. And I wanted to react on the use of websites.
Yes, go ahead.
To me, a website, we use website. The reasons why we use websites, one is, I think, information.
Okay.
Here we get a lot of information. We do a lot of research on website.
Okay.
Also, I believe things like also entertainment.
Sure.
Because a website can also be used as the entertainment purpose. Because now look, when you're looking for YouTube, you have to go to website.
Sure.
Yes, and also I think information, I believe, goes together with education.
Yeah,
So
sure.
all those education purposes, I think that is what I can think of as the use of website.
Wow, that's perfect. Yeah. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, those are some of basic use of the website. But of course, we have a lot of other uses. Like, of course, is to give a highlight of YouTube, even Zoom. We are learning. We can use websites for learning. So let's look at some of the basic ones, which I just had to put around. One of the important, or why you should have a website, or gain the knowledge of, gaining the knowledge of making a website is simple. You learn how to develop them, for building your own websites, or even, of course, working for money. People pay a lot of money, by the way, for websites. So you can make money from it. It doesn't necessarily need you to learn all the technologies, both back end and front. No, you can learn front end alone, and you specialize in front end. And some people prefer doing back end straight, and some people do both. So when you do both, you become a full stack developer. Oh, sure, Ziwa Regan. Okay. You need a link to the WhatsApp group. Let me just type my number very fast. I don't know whether you are from Uganda. I'm just typing without the country code. You can text me there. You can text me on that number. I'll give you the link, because I did not put the WhatsApp where the group is. It's not on my PC. I will do that. Okay. Now, one of the importance of using a website is, oh, good. You're from Uganda, so you can just tap me on that number. One of the importance is building an online presence. For instance, you see some of the things we are sharing, even some of these links you've been getting, they're from WhatsApp groups. So if they had not developed the application, how will I be able to build an online presence? If I don't have my quotation site, how will people get to know? If I don't have maybe some of my, if other businesses like Jumia and the like, they don't have, how will people know? So when you have a website, build an online presence. For example, you establish yourself and promote yourselves. Not every website is supposed to be done for business. You can build a portfolio website. Like that is one of the projects you're going to do. After the first phase of this course, after five weeks, in the 5th and the 6th week, you will be able to develop a website, and the project will be you building your own portfolio website, talking about yourself, what you do, just a basic one. And then, as well as, business, if your business is running online, you can meet wider audience. Like right now, I'm in my room. I didn't go to the office. I'm in my room. You're everywhere you are. We are able to access. So we are able to learn, but we're not together. Unlike in the traditional system of classes where you're supposed to be there in the class, the teacher, and you may be back in the school the whole day, but no, here 30, 40 minutes and it's done. Then there is also e-commerce, selling products and services online. I'm able to sell my courses because of technology or internet or having a website. So you can reach customers. I can sell. I have interactions with people in India, the US, and what so forth because of a website. Otherwise, if I had my shop or a school, which is maybe stationed somewhere, yes, it is good for the local community, but I'm not able to meet people globally, as well as communication. We are having a meeting here. Customer support. For example, sometimes, customers reach me, like I gave a contact, will reach me via inbox. Instead of struggling, spending transport, looking for me, maybe going up to Arua or Kampala, wherever, is able to communicate with me in real time. And also we have contact forms, which on websites. When I talk about contact forms, I'm talking about, for instance, when you go to a site, they'll ask you maybe to fill your name, some details. Like if you're buying something on Jumia, they'll ask your house number, your address, your location. That is what we call a contact form. Or even like when you're registering for something online, there are some forms where you're supposed to fill email and what. I'm able to get people's details, like the Google form I created for picking most of your data, as well as chatbots. So when I talk about chatbots, you find when you go to some website, something pops up, a small message icon pops up, asks you, hey, I'm here, how can I help you? You type like this and it brings you options. So you're chatting with a machine, with a virtual system. There is nobody behind, but it's just a virtual system. And then also being accessible 24/7. Of course, with the website, you're there. Even if you're sleeping, people are able to interact with your services. Unlike if you're in an office, people need to call you, people need to do this, people need to travel. But with website, even if it is at 2 a.m., I've uploaded my courses, you will be able to read at your own time. You do your assignments, you submit anytime, unlike where there will be time limitation. Okay, So this is our task for today. I will request you to screenshot. You can take a screenshot. If not a screenshot, you can, I don't know, you can use any method to pick it, but in case you fail, and in case you're not on the WhatsApp platform, of course, this activity, I'll give it only to people who are on the WhatsApp platform. So if you're not there, my number is there, you can text me, then I add you. Of course, this recording and the slides as well will be put on the other platform. So this is our task. One of the question is that the difference between front end and back end, the main programming languages in web development, explaining CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, and their role, some of the popular frameworks and libraries in web dev, and the best practices. Of course, these are what we looked at. These are what we have just been looking at, and I hope we shall interact with them and be in position to get back. Like I said, it is okay. You can share with your colleague in the group. It is fine. This is not a graded assignment. You can share with your colleague in the group to get some understanding. And actually, that's what we engage. Of course, from the next class we are going to have, it is much of practical. We shall not be having these notes anymore. We shall be doing things in real life. So with this, I would like to stop with this quote, that believing in yourself and your abilities is the first step towards achieving your career goals. Don't let the fear of unknown or the fear of failure hold you back. As Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you are totally right. So embrace the challenge and persevere, for every new skill and knowledge gained brings you closer to your desired future. So this is my personal quote, of course, basing on what Henry Ford said. This comes back to my experience when I joined computer science class for the first time at the university. You know, everything looked complex. However, I want to encourage you that there's nothing which is hard. In case you're very new to programming, of course, people have misconceptions. For you to be a computer scientist or to do software engineering, you have to have strong mathematics background and what so forth. Those are all lies. They're not like that. Computer is something which is completely different from the mathematics. Of course, having some fundamentals of mathematical understanding is also fine, but regardless of your background, whether you don't know programming or what so forth, this is the course which is designed for you to pick you from zero to whatever level it will take you to and your careers. So thank you for attending. I hope you gained valuable understanding of web. Thank you for trusting us. So in the next 5 minutes, I think I'm open to anyone who has any question or any sub-addition. If you have anything to say, please feel free. Yes, Albert?
Yes, I wanted to, the activity you have given, the last one is what we are supposed to research on.
Yeah, that is your task here.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the task
So
for today.
when will the next session be?
It is on Monday. We have sessions 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
Meanwhile, people who have not yet installed VS Code, please feel free to inbox me. We have a different arrangement with you. And then in case you're having challenge installing, we can install together with you.
Yes, the VS Code, as you were explaining, I try to install. I don't know whether it's the right one. Yeah, I don't know whether it's the right one, but the Visual Studio Code, is it? That's it.
I want Visual Studio Code, not Visual Studio.
It's Visual Studio Code, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. You just install. How to start from there?
I think that's what I installed, yeah.
Perfect. If you installed Visual Studio Code, it is good. But if you install Visual Studio, actually, you should be very careful. If you install Visual Studio, no, it will not support this program. Yes, it is also NIDE. And of course, using it is very complex. Like, I don't recommend that for a beginner.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Aloro Isaac is giving a suggestion. Can we make the days favorable? I have lectures Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. till late. Okay, fine. Mr. Loro, it's okay. Now we can as well have a different private arrangement, but of course, most of these suggestions were based on our own pre-planned activities. We are not yet considered the client's needs. So, Mr. Loro, I think we can respond to your question. We shall talk to that later. You can inbox as well, or you can have the conversation on WhatsApp. So any other person? We have 2 minutes to go. Otherwise, if we don't have any submission, thank you so much for turning up. The best of your evening. I'll share these recordings, and I'll always be recording them because some of us are not able to join right now. Thank you so much, Selam. So see you all. If you're not on the WhatsApp platform, please reply to this message of the link in whatever group you're in so that I can be able to access you, and then I add you to the actual WhatsApp platform. The best of your evening. See you guys all on Monday. And then I'm also going to give you some tasks. Okay, I've already given you this task. This is okay. Then from Monday, we are starting practically on integrated development environment. If you have challenge installing it, please reach me. We shall install together. I'm open. Bye.
Bye.